The annual installment of March Madness is once again with us. Thanks to television, we are able to see another crop of great athletes excite basketball fans all over the country, make alumni of participating universities proud, and produce a lot of revenue for the schools that successfully recruited them. But along with the excitement, the pride, the financial reward, there comes a price. Not every athlete earns degrees, not every coach plays by the rules, and schools here and there shave their standards. In some quarters, there is dismay and embarrassment over the way all sports, not just basketball, can cause a compromise in ideals and set the wrong ordering of priorities. Today's speaker comes to us with a long history of involvement with athletics and athletes. In the first part of his professional career, William Thierfelder gave counsel on matters related to contract negotiations, financial management, and sports medicine to athletes of the National Football League, Major League Baseball, the National Basketball Association, and the National Hockey League. Bill Thierfelder holds a master's degree and a doctorate in sports psychology and human movement from Boston University. He is also a licensed psychologist. Dr. Thierfelder is a former Division I coach, a former U.S. Olympian, and a two-time All-American at the University of Maryland. He is now the president of Belmont Abbey College near Charlotte, North Carolina, hailed by the Cardinal Newman Society as one of the best truly Catholic colleges in the country. Our speaker today embodies all that is good and worthy of imitation in high-level athletic competition. His Catholic faith plays no small part in this. Here to speak on the topic of sports in contemporary American civilization, a Catholic critique, is Dr. William Thierfelder.
Thank you, Monsieur. I always have to do this whenever I go anyplace. If you haven't figured it out, I'm 6'8". How's that? Pretty good? I guess I have two disclaimers. First, I want to thank all of you and Dr. Varicali and the bishop and Chaminade High School and so forth for just welcoming me here, and it's just made it such a lovely time already. So I look forward to the talk today, and hopefully you will, and to the rest of the weekend. But two I guess, disclaimers I'll make here. First is that on the back table back there, I saw that there was an ad here for Eucharistic adoration. Could you spend 1 hour with us? And I thought, that's fantastic. I'd encourage you all to do that. And then I noticed that the map, given the talk today being on sport, I didn't want there to be any confusion, but it says Belmont Racetrack. I just wanted to make sure you knew we don't own the racetrack, okay? And the other is, I'm, to say humbled, more mortified than anything else. The speakers that have come and been at this gathering in the past, wow, I don't know what I'm doing here. This must have been some accident in the mail. And you mentioned University of Maryland. I came from New York. I don't know if you can hear a New York accent. I think maybe I lost it someplace. But I'm from the Bronx. I grew up in the Bronx, New York. I went to Fordham Prep and went to Fordham University my first year on scholarship for track. And then they were going to drop the track team, and so I ended up transferring to the University of Maryland. And when I got to Maryland, they told me my major was eligibility. So I'll start by saying that God uses the most inadequate instruments to accomplish His will, so there'll be no mistaking His will. And so that is why I am here today before you. And was given or suggested the lofty topic of sport in contemporary American civilization and Catholic critique. And now don't get worried, don't get scared if I start talking about things that are happening in BC as opposed to AD. But what I think is very important is that we understand what sport is about before we can critique it. And so today, hopefully, I'll address four maybe issues with you. The first is that sport is play. It may sound like an obvious thing to you, but I don't know that it is necessarily for all of us. Play is an essential part of the human experience. Sport has become work, which I'm going to make the case that is really what is maybe at the root of some of the troubles and difficulties that we're having with athletics. And then what can we do about it? What can you do? What can I do? And the bishop, I think, is very much on point when he was talking about the fact that I think today everybody is called to action. There's no more sitting back and talking about how bad things are. We'd love to see it change. We've got to go do something about it, and it's up to each one of us individually to actually do that. So as I start here, again, I promise you I'm going to get to contemporary. I just have to go back a little ways to make a couple of points. And the first one is that we tend to think sport is maybe in some ways, I know this is going to sound a little strange, adult. It's serious. We find it enjoyable and so forth, when in fact I would say it's just the opposite. Sport is play. That is what it's about. So not to understand play, we're going to have a difficult time understanding sport and what its role is and what its purpose is, and then certainly our ability to critique it is going to be challenged. So I thought I would just very, very briefly give you just a couple of things about play, which seems like, again, a simple thing that we all at least did. Hopefully we still do it a little bit now. But there was a Johann Huizinga who first analyzed the fundamental characteristics of play and the importance of its role in the very development of civilization. That work was built upon by Roger Callejas, who created a classification of play in his book, Man, Play, and Games. And basically, he broke play down to 6 general characteristics that you could identify as something that's called play. The first is that it was free, meaning you didn't have to do it. You chose to do it. It was separate, meaning it had certain boundaries. It had boundaries of time and place and so forth. Just like, a football field. You cross the line, you're on the field. You come off, you're off. There's a clock. There's time that goes with that. The outcome is uncertain. We don't know how it's going to finish, even if we think we do. That's what, I guess, betting and gambling is all about, is people trying to say they know what's going to happen. But it is uncertain, and if you think about it, the games that we've enjoyed the most are the ones that are really close, very closely contested. Those are the ones that mean the most to us. The ones that are a blowout, where it's lopsided on one side, we kind of walk away from and say, oh, well, I guess I'll either sit through it or turn the channel if you're sitting at home. The fourth is that it's unproductive. That may sound like a negative thing, but what it means basically is that play it has its own end. There's nothing being made. When a football team goes out to play, they don't make furniture. You're not coming away with anything. You're not coming with a product at the end of it. It basically ends like it began, just the game itself. As I said, it's governed by rules, not only by physical boundaries of time and space, but also rules. And we know what those are ahead of time so we can stay within them. And a lot of times we make those up. Think of yourselves when you were kids out in the street. You made up the rules. Okay, the wall is out of bounds, the curb. I remember we were playing like on a sidewalk this wide, playing, tackle football. And the concrete hurt a lot, so you tried to stay on the grass part when you could. And the last one, the sixth one, is make-believe. In other words, it's some kind of maybe not quite reality. It's kind of out of real time, if you will, play. And then he went on further and he divided it into 4 distinct categories. And they were, and I won't give you the Greek names, but basically it's competition, chance, simulation, and vertigo. Vertigo being like roller coasters, things that get you dizzy, merry-go-rounds, But the one that we're really going to be looking at today for the most part is competition. Because that's where sport, for the most part, although all of these areas, although they're distinct, all of them have maybe some component or part of even sport today.